He's a senior software engineer at Spend Labs. Apart from that, he also shares his knowledge on YouTube channel where he and his team teaches data structures and algorithms to those who are in their early career stage or who wants to shift to programming to be able to cope up with modern day interview process. This is something which will really help all the early career professionals and all those who wanted to be associated with technology or who are passionate about coding. In today's episode, let's learn more about Rajat Agrawal's journey in becoming a senior software engineer and also get his insights on software interviews. Hello, hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. If you have tuned into our podcast for the first time, you have missed a lot of stuff. But don't worry, all our previous episodes are available on your favorite podcast listening platforms like Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Ghana.com, Amazon Music, and many more. And not only that, we are also available on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and subscribe to us. Also, if you have not rated our podcast on Apple, please provide your rating and also leave a positive review because every rating and review will motivate us to bring in more and more useful content to you. And this is your host Navin Samala, and I have about 18 years of rich and diversified experience in the IT industry. In every episode, we interact with industry experts or thought leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn some amazing stuff. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. And here is a challenge. You will acquire more knowledge for every minute by listening to TGV or tuning into TGV rather than any other podcast in this case. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we are going to discuss a topic software interviews are not a sprint. And we are pleased to have Rajat, part of TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Rajat, welcome to TGV.
Thank you, Dambin.
All right, so Rajat, let's get started. Maybe we can begin with your career journey and top three things that have helped you to reach.
I started my career journey in 2015, right out of college. I joined Capgemini in that year. 3 years I worked there. In that process, I thought about switching from a service-based company to a product-based company in order to upskill myself. With 1 year of hard work and upskilling myself, I tried and got into TSY, so which is a premium domain company. After acquiring the knowledge in TSY as to how the product-based company work and how these challenges that come across developing a product and creating a sustainable product for the world to use, I started looking out for a job to upskill more on my front, wherein I started looking out for a more difficult adventure for myself, wherein I joined a startup which is called Spendlabs, which is also a payment domain company, and it deals with commercial cards. So that was all the journey that I had. I switched technologies from Java to Scala now in order to learn more about the technology space as the rapid pace it is growing with. The three things that have held me throughout my journey are: first is the ability to learn. Second, along with the job, I was continuously learning DSS and algorithm for each day work also. And third thing is my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel provided me a space to give back to the community and also to learn from their reviews or their suggestions as to how I can improve on myself. That is a brief introduction about myself.
Wonderful. I think you have done a lot of research and planned your career, or I would say crafted your career very well. And a lot of commonalities. Like throughout my 18 years of work experience, I've been with a product based organization, like which means you made a decision to switch from consulting to product based. And one other thing is, I also started as a Java programmer. Of
Yeah.
course, one thing which I couldn't do as you have been doing is continuing on the data structures and algorithms,
Yeah.
which is something very scary area for me. All right. And also another common factor is about giving back to the community. You are doing it using algorithms made easy. We are doing it through the guiding voice.
Yeah.
Wonderful. A lot of coincidence. With that, let me move to the next question, Rajat. Why did you propose this topic? Software interviews, not a sprint.
Yeah, so that is basically because while interviewing the candidates and while myself giving the interviews, I feel like people are taking it like it is an exam. what is an exam? Exam is basically what we did in our college time or in school time with the last minute preparations, with no prior experience, and with sometimes we lie on our resume too. So it is basically not as simple as what you give in the exam and get the grades out of it. It is basically you telling the person why they are ready to give you the amount or the package that you desire and what they are getting in return. It is not a process which can be done an overnight. You cannot mug up the concepts in one night or get an in-depth knowledge in one night and give an interview. It is not a sprint because it takes about 2 months to prepare for an interview before an actual interview. Like for before even applying for a job, you should be ready for the job. When you apply for a job, you think then you can start getting ready. But if I take my example, I started preparing for Google to give their interview process 1 year before I was even called for Google. Then after I was rejected in the first attempt, I gave my 100% for the 1 year whole time and again gave it the shot. And this time, not only Google, I also gave Amazon. It's not in your hand that you get selected or not. You can give your 100%. That is what that matters. So I would say that this topic is the first thing that popped up in my mind when I thought of giving a podcast on it, because that is the one thing that people mostly ignore about in the software industry, that they think cracking an interview is a very simple task and can be done overnight.
So don't take things for granted. Like don't
Yeah,
treat the interviews lightly and don't
yeah.
consider them like an exam. Yeah.
Exam. Yeah,
I love that statement because see, exam is something like a one-time activity, like
one time.
wherein if you get a certain score, you're done and dusted. But as you rightly mentioned, every interview will be different. The kind of problems that the interview panel is going to ask you will be different from company to company, and you have to be prepared to literally crack any question in the world. And for that, if you mug up concepts, as you said, it is not going to work. All we have to develop is the logical thinking as well as problem solving methodologies, and I think you're teaching those using your YouTube channel as well. So thank you so much for sharing these insights, and in fact I really loved the way you have put up this one. In fact, we have to treat this as a marathon kind of thing, okay,
Yeah,
wherein you have to first of all get ready to face the interview, which itself might take anywhere between 2 months to 1 year, which you have shared based on
yeah,
your personal experience. Wonderful.
yeah.
So with that, let me move on to my next question, Rajat. What are the common mistakes that people do during the interviews?
The most common mistake that I've seen in people are they listen to answer the question. They do not listen to understand the question. It's basically the fact that if you're asking me a question, I have an answer ready in back of my mind previously, and I will just say that line by line and won't think about it for a second as to if the context is the right thing or not. If I talk about a programming problem, the people are more concerned with finding out the solution rather than finding out the ways that why their solution won't work. So you should give at least two alternatives to particular solution. You should have the pros and cons ready with this particular problem. The next mistake that the people make are that they do not ask the right question. They do not ask what they think should be the right approach. They do not question the interviewer whether the approach or the question that he is asking is whether right or not. I'm not saying argue with him. It's a dialogue communication between two individuals trying to make up a system which can handle the pressure in the real world scenario. You cannot just give a simple, it's not like a hello world program for the world. It takes much more coding and approach and thinking than you think for a particular problem analysis. And every problem is designed to check one or two skills in your particular self and what you have acquired over these years. It's a hot topic in software industry where the people are asked about hash map. When you ask about hash map and how the complexity of it, they will usually say O of 1. But the answer does not stop there. The correct answer lies in what the input is and how much input that we are providing it, how its hash code and its equals methods are, how its hash code and equals methods are overridden, how they are written, how the values are being distributed equally into the bucket system, and then there the answers stop. That is the valid answer. It is not that you can just mug up that the time complexity is O of 1 and you can stop right there. So the bookish knowledge doesn't work in an actual interview.
Some great tips. I wish I could get this kind of tips soon after graduation. Wonderful. So I love this profound statement which says people are listening to answer the question but not understanding the question. without understanding the context. They are trying to find the solution. If we do some deep introspection before you answer, maybe some give it a thought, probably 30 second to 1 minute analysis, then it might give you more clarity. And as you rightly mentioned, it might be good to seek clarity or maybe validate whether your assumption is right with the interviewer. And I'll tell you one thing based on the mock interviews that I take as part of some pro bono consulting with certain job agencies and all. Many times, these candidates, okay, who are attending the interviews, they're always in the mindset that I have to crack it. Okay, this is the last job I have, or this is the only option that I have. That I keep telling them one thing. Remember, for you, job is important. For companies, the candidate is also important. It's win-win, right? It's not the case that companies are going to lose talent just like that. If you really prove your worth, you will get there. Probably you have to demonstrate your skills, okay? Because in certain situations, especially this case study based and all, there may be more than one possibility of answer, and there is no one only single correct answer as such. How you can justify that is going to really demonstrate your logical thinking capability, problem solving, and how are you going to dissect what is your approach to take that particular problem and all. And you have also covered the topics around hash map and all. I think that these have to be understood from the basics. Why did this concept of hash map come into picture when we had hash table, when we had this single linked list, double linked list,
Definitely.
queues, stacks, and all the other stuff? Why did this concept come into picture, and how it has really made the lives easy in terms of storing and retrieving the data? Because if you understand the basics right, then definitely this will become a cakewalk. Thank you, Rajat, for sharing those mistakes. Now let's flip the topic and ask about how should someone actually approach the interview preparation, especially from the coding perspective. Because I've gone through your channel and you mentioned a lot about this lead code and all other stuff. So I think it will help me also understand and get up to speed.
Like you rightly said, learn from the basics. I always whenever anyone comes to me and asks how do I start, I give what path I have followed. I'm following this path from 2018, and I'll just share that as well right now. Start with basics. Start with the data structure, the building blocks. If you do not know the building blocks, you cannot build a building. You need bricks for building a building. So start with the basic data structures, then move up with solving questions on each of the data structure that you have take. So you can start with few easy ones, then few medium, and then a little bit of hard. So you can get a good grasp on how different data structures come together and solve a particular problem. Because remember, an easy questions deal with one topic, medium with two topics, and a hard problem deals with around 3 to 4 topics with included an algorithm which is specifically designed to that particular problem. So you need to understand that you need to get a hold on easy problem first and then move to medium. Don't jump directly on the medium problems. That won't take you anywhere. It will just create anxiety in you that you are not good enough to solve the particular problems. But let me tell you, you are good enough. If you give your 100%, you will sooner or later get to the point where everybody else is, not me, everybody else. There are different platforms where you can try out ample amount of platforms. Some of them are Lead Code, CodeChef, Codeforces, Top Coder, Hacker Rank, Hacker Earth, and all those have different their mainstream problem solving abilities. Some are doing hackathons, some are giving you problems with monthly basis. So I haven't heard about Lead Code till a Google recruiter came to me asking for if I am available for a job interview, and she asked me that in order to get to a skill that a Google employee has, you should be able to do at least two problems in 45 minutes time span, two medium problems. So that was around in 2018. I gave my first attempt in that. Since then, I'm doing Lead Code because I find it quite good. It has a variety of problems, and I am able to test out all my approaches. And also there are discussion forum where people share their approaches, wherein you can learn from others people. You need not to be genius in your own. You can use someone else's genius to get to what you can be. You can think like them by doing the problems, by understanding the solutions that they are shared with you. That is the one thing. And remember that it will take time for you to reach the place that people are, because you are starting now. Because it is not that it is at birth you get the skill. You need to build that over a period of time. And if you are in the software industry along with the job, you need to get these skills as well, so that you do not get obsolete in the near future, because we are moving in a fast paced world right now.
I think all the platform links that Rajat has shared are available in the show notes related to Lead Code, CodeChef, Top Coder, Hacker Earth, and all other things. You can just refer to the show notes. Yeah, Rajat, thanks for sharing those wonderful insights. I think we have to solve at least two problems in 45 minutes time. And for those who wanted to get into this, maybe you can start with the easy ones and then move up to the medium and then complex. I really love this statement. Use someone else's genius so that you can think like an expert, right? And learn from others. And that definitely inspires so that others might have already burned their hands and found a smart way of doing things. And maybe you can leverage and get smarter. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, this has been a fantastic conversation so far. So with that, let me move to the next question. How to learn this problem solving? In the schools, okay, in the conventional method, like if we ever taught mathematics and all, but that's all rote learning that happens. Things might have got better now, but holistically, problem solving is not just only about mathematical problems, right? It could be anything. How do we approach this problem solving and learn the problem solving skills?
There are ample ways to reach to a destination. There's no one correct way. First of all, so we need to understand that. And just by following someone's path, if what works for him will work for you, that is not the case in the real life world scenario. It is not an exam wherein everyone is given the same syllabus and the same set of timing, same set of questions. It is different for each of one. There are different scenarios. So what myself do in order to get sharp at problem solving are I do brain teasers, I do puzzles, I do Sudoku. I read a lot of books on related to biography and psychology and everything, just to keep myself in a state wherein I am not just thinking in one direction. I want to keep my mind open in whenever I'm giving an interview. And the more open mind you have, it is not that you just need to learn about software and how these systems work. You need to have an open mind related to everything, so that you are able to see a problem in a way which someone else might have missed it. And foremost thing is, in the last 1 year or two, I have been doing one question per day, sometimes two, three. So you need to create a habit in solving the problems. You cannot solve a problem in an interview if you are not able to solve it in your leisure time. So you need to burn some oil on that front, wherein you solve one problem a day. That is compulsory. You can make that a habit, and once you get into that habit of thinking that way, you will see that the effect of you solving one problem a day will be seen in your code that you write while you are in the job as well. You will be able to think of scenarios which you previously would have missed. So that is what I do.
Super. I love again one more statement. What works for someone may not work for you. Exam paper in real life will be different for different people.
The
Great.
time is also different. Like even if the paper are same, the time will be different. Someone will be given 2 hours for that particular problem, and you will be given 15 minutes max.
Great, yeah. I concur with you. You also mentioned about this brain teasers, puzzles, and Sudoku. Yeah, I'll also share my experience. I came across this term called lateral thinking maybe about 8-9 years ago. And it is all about divergent thinking. There is a book actually by Edward de Bono on lateral thinking. In case if you haven't read, or in case even if the audience haven't read, please, it is a must read for everyone who wants to solve the problems and all. Because the author certainly teaches how to inculcate this divergent thinking process. Because as you have witnessed in this episode, we have been talking about having multiple solutions for a single problem. And this is going to really help you find a solution which somebody else might have not answered so far. And that will make you stand out from the crowd. And I'll also give you one more advice to all the listeners. Like Times of India, the concerned city page, if you open, there is a section called as this mind bender, and you'll find a lot of puzzles out there. And in addition to that, they also publish some rebus puzzles at times. So that is something which will enhance our creativity and will help us solve more and more problems. In fact, in my current organization and previous organizations also, I've been focusing a lot in terms of developing the talent with this lateral thinking. And that will definitely is going to help you stand out from the crowd, and you will do wonderful. You'll come up with some amazing solutions, and that really works. So definitely it's a must inculcate habit, I would say. All right. So with that, let me move on to my next question, Rajat. What are the trends in the current interview process? Like what kind of changes have you seen from based on your experience, and what are you witnessing in the market today? Because when we got interviewed for technical positions and all, it was 2 rounds of technical followed by manager, followed by HR, right? Then done and dusted. But now we're talking about 7 rounds of interviews, 8 rounds of interviews, so on and so forth. So I really love to understand the current interview process for the technical folks.
I will share my experience in this as well. Like I've given an interview 2 times to switch jobs, and the first time I've given an interview, and this time that I've given an interview, there's a vast difference. Like in the 3 years time span, if you can see this much amount of change in an interview process, then you can hardly think about what it will be after 1 year. So the thing is, the companies are more walking towards data structures and algorithm. They want a candidate who is able to think of the solutions which other miss. They should be able to provide the solution. They should be able to provide the loophole in their solution as well, and they should be aware of the fact that where this particular solution will fail in a scenario wherein the data that is coming into the system is quite high, or it is quite on a very specific side. So if you do not find out the conditions, or if you do not find out the loophole into that particular problem, you will be bound to lag behind. The trend has been like 2 interviews followed by manager and all. Right now the trend has changed. The trend is basically what interviews that I've given is, I've given 4 rounds of interview, technical, and then a managerial. There is no HR that has been counted. Before these 5 rounds, there is initial pre-screening, also assessment. So the whole process is like, the first you give the online assessment, then you will be contacted by HR, who will guide you through the 5 interview that will take place. Amazon takes place interviews one day, 5 interviews straight. It's over, and they will give you the result. Then there is an interview with what Google follows is like 5 interviews span over 5 days. So the trend is basically to judge a person on how he is able to handle pressure. So both the industries, both Amazon and Google, have their own ways, have their own, what we can say, own statements, or as to why they are doing one day in a row and they are doing 5 days. It is because Amazon wants to know how much you are able to cope up in the pressure, and Google is seeing if a person is not good in one day, it might not be his one day. So he should be able to given a fair chance. So they both are right in this scenario. I would say that right now the industry is looking at people who can give a code which is self-tested and should not fail in the basic scenarios. Or like we used to say that it should not require a QA to test your code. It should require a QA to test the whole application, because hiring a QA for just a small piece of code is not worth it for the company.
Wow, very insightful. I love this one. Like, we need to find the loopholes in the solution, okay, which somebody else has provided. Because I'll tell you certain scenarios. It happened with a popular e-commerce platform. I don't want to name the platform, okay, because this is a public forum. So one of my friends, he used to place orders on that popular e-commerce platform, once upon a time popular e-commerce platform in India, and he cancelled the order. Okay, after the order is placed, the next day he used to cancel. He got the amount refund, but the product was delivered to his home. Right? That's because of the loophole in the logic. Right? Likewise, yeah, definitely this will make them appear as a stronger candidate. If you are able to identify different scenarios and come up with the proper solution, which is robust, definitely that's going to help. Wonderful. So Rajat, this has been a fantastic conversation so far, but let's add some spice to the episode. I would like to ask you a few interesting rapid fire questions wherein you can answer them crisply, like 2 to 3 words or maximum one phrase. If you are ready, let's get started. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for volunteering. Let me move ahead with my first bullet out of the rapid fire. Rajat, can you name a movie that inspired you?
3 Idiots.
Bang on. I think it's an inspiration to many folks, especially the Amir Khan character. I resonate with you. Moving on to my next question. Speed or perfection?
Perfect speed.
Perfect speed. Awesome. All right. So moving on. What is a hidden talent that no one knows about Rajat?
Like some people know that I write poems. So that is the talent.
Can you recite one if possible?
No, not right now.
Okay, no worries. All right, let me move on to the next one. What has been a question on your mind for which you never got an answer for?
Melody itni chocolatey kyun hai?
But it lost the quality, dude. When I ate it in my childhood versus what it is now, the taste is completely changed.
Things change with the time.
But things should change for good. All right, let me fire the last bullet out of the rapid fire. Rajat, I'm really curious. What would you do if you won $1 billion lottery?
a bootstrapped startup for sure.
In which domain?
I had an idea ready for like technology space and also in the clothing space. So any of the two.
Okay, let's catch up offline. All right, so that was a fantastic rapid fire, and thanks for the spirit and thanks for being so candid. With that, let me flip back to the mainstream and ask you one final question for this conversation. So, Rajat, what will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
One piece of advice that I would give people is look at people's success as a source of motivation, not as a source of jealousy or the way to belittle yourself that you are not good enough. They had their own hardships, they had their own dilemma, own road, own stones, everything. They had been through their share of failures also, and you do not know about that. All you see right now is a finished product out from the burning coal mine. You need to understand that if you start today also, it is not too late to surpass those individuals who you idolize. You can surpass your idols by working hard and consistent, because even if you reach at the top, you need to keep on working to stay at the top. If your idol stops working at because he is at the top and you are consistent, you can surpass him. So do not think that you are too late. Just give what you have, give your 100%, try to improve yourself with each day, and sooner or later you will reach there. And always remember, in terms of software industry, as the topic suggests, that the software interviews are not a sprint, they are marathon. So good luck with your futures.
Lot of profound thoughts out there, and one thing which resonated with me is about things are not as rosy as they appear, right? Everybody has their own hardships, and whatever is seen outside, things may not be the same inside. They had undergone their own set of failures and lot of obstacles to reach there, and that is not seen. And especially we are in this world where success is celebrated, okay, and failure is treated as a fatal kind of thing. That's why many people refrain from putting, okay, hey, we lost this or we couldn't do this, because we need to focus on that as well. And I'll be very honest with you, recently we were shortlisted in the podcast awards, okay, by Hubhopper, and we made it to the finals, but in the jury round we lost. But that's okay, we learned that we have probably not categorized it properly, or at least we started doing some retrospection and find a better way of doing this, because this is helping us be better than what we were before.
Yeah.
At least
On that note, I will say that celebrate that you've reached there, because most people haven't cleared the stage first.
absolutely, that's really a valid statement, because I think about 40-50 others have applied in the first round, and basis the people choice, we were shortlisted to second round, and we were showcased as part of the second round. Okay, these are going to undergo the critical jury review and all. That itself is a win, because we have not been doing this for the last 10 years. It's been just 17 months that the journey started. That's fine, we'll reach there one day. So Rajat, this has been a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today. And it was a great topic that you have covered about the software interviews, not a sprint. And I really loved all the real-time examples that you have mentioned. And thank you so much for sharing your personal experience with our audience as well. And thank you for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe.
Thank you. Thank you, Navin.
It was a pleasure hosting you, Rajat. All right, so before we move into the trivia section, dear folks, here's a request to you. If you have loved the episode and found it useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from this show. The more you share, the wider we reach, and we'll get closer to our mission of reaching 1 million across the globe. Of course, after reaching 1 million, we want to reach more millions though. Thank you so much in advance. All right, so let's move on to the trivia segment without further ado. And folks, today's trivia is about Toyota. And here is my question. Do you know in which year Toyotas were first sold in the United States? I know you are thinking, but let me tell you the answer as per the ritual. It is the year 1957 when the Toyotas started selling in the United States, and since then they've never looked back. And in fact, Toyota is one of my favorite automobile manufacturers from the continuous improvement hat perspective, because they have pioneered a lot of concepts related to continuous improvement, and they are the pioneers in implementing some of the lean concepts and giving a lot of best practices to the world. And one thing that fascinates me about Toyota is they're never satisfied. They always want to be better. and they still capture like millions of ideas from their employees every year, and out of which they execute the most feasible ones. That's why they have a tagline called Quality Revolution. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye bye. We are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.